Today, we're going to talk about what if you could actually make money on social media instead of just spending money or spending a lot of your time, flicking away or tapping away. I'm talking with Jennifer Longworth. Hey, Jennifer.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for coming on. And Jennifer is a Twitter pro. And Twitter really, really launched into the headlines again, I think about a year and a half ago, with let's call it world and political events and certain figures really making the platform well known and leave it at that.
Yeah, that's basically where I leave it.
But the truth is, it did get a bump from that usage. And I think there's definitely an opportunity there. And I'm really eager to learn from you, Jennifer. So can we start off with you telling us, your story of how you developed your expertise and your skill set with Twitter, please?
Well, I literally taught the class on Twitter chats when I was in school. My degree is in communications new media from Southern New Hampshire University. And part of what they did with school was a career Twitter chat each week. And okay, what's this? Well, it's a conversation about an hour long around a hashtag, designated hashtag for about an hour. And this was like the first Monday of every month, or maybe more frequently, with SNHU career. And they had this chat. And so I started getting into those and learning how a Twitter chat works. Well, once you've done one, it kind of gets addicting to do Twitter chats and then meeting people and doing more Twitter chats. And then there's a Twitter chat called Twitter Smarter, and the amazing Madeline Sklar leads that. The Twitter Smarter chat is every Thursday at 1:00. It just finished right before we're chatting, and learned so much from other people in that chat about how to use Twitter, and then listening to Madeline's Twitter Smarter podcast and just consuming whatever I can about it, so that when our social media marketing class hit for school, the teacher, he was a marketing guy, but not a social media guy, Dr. Bob. And he's like, well, in the curriculum, we have to do this Twitter chat for class, but I don't care, blah, blah, whatever. I said, hey, I got this. He's like, what? I'm like, no, I totally know Twitter chats. We're doing the Twitter chat. So I'm in there and I'm leading the Twitter chat for the class. I'm like, okay, everybody use this hashtag and this is the format and here's how it goes. So I literally taught the Twitter chat class for my social media marketing school.
I mean, you've already shot way over my head, and I'm just on behalf of the other Twitter noobs out here, I already have a list of questions for you.
Alrighty, let's do it.
I'm going to give you the list first, and please answer in any order that makes sense. What is a hashtag? What is a Twitter chat? And how do you get in on a Twitter chat? Because I don't see those buttons anywhere.
Oh, no, you just have to know when and what the hashtag is. You don't specifically join a chat. So the hashtag you see everywhere. It's what we used to call a pound sign or a number sign, followed by some keywords.
That's the tic-tac-toe looking thing, yes?
Yes, the tic-tac-toe looking thing. And so Twitter Smarter is a very, very popular chat. We know that it's at 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. So at 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, you'd go to Twitter and just start following and using hashtag Twitter Smarter. And ta-da, you're in the chat. Now, there's a couple of tools that make it a lot easier, and I prefer tweetdeck.com. And TweetDeck allows you to follow certain hashtags and have multiple screens open, so you can have like the feed of the hashtag and then your personal feed so you can see if people are tagging you. Is this making sense?
Let's keep it for now within the core Twitter app, just to keep it as simple as possible. So I want on a Thursday at a 1 p.m. Eastern, I want to get in on this Twitter Smarter conversation. So I'll post a tweet that starts or ends, that includes, and I'm going to be very literal here, the pound sign, no space, Twitter, no space, smarter. And that'll put me in the conversation. Is that about right?
Yes.
And then how will I see? You mentioned follow the hashtag. How do I follow the hashtag or have that show up in my feed? How do I see other people talking, using that hashtag?
So we're going to stay in the app. TweetDeck's a lot easier. So if you can do a Twitter chat on your computer, it's better. But if you are in your Twitter app, you just you do the search, and you can do this on the computer as well. So Twitter Smarter is what I'm going to look for. Twitter Smarter. And then click latest to see what people have been talking about, and there they are. So you do a search, and then you click latest, and then you'll see everything that people were talking about.
So the hashtag will allow me to search for anybody who tagged their comments or their posts for that conversation, and that's how these chats are grouped because they've tagged themselves to be part of that conversation. Is that about right?
It's not just a random chat. It's structured, so there's a host for each Twitter chat, no matter who you're doing, there's a different host for each one. So Madeline is the host for Twitter Smarter, and she presents questions, which are Q1, Q2, Q3 is how they're labeled through the chat. And then you answer the questions using A1, A2, so people can follow along a little easier of where the comments and threads are relating. And sometimes there's a guest expert that she'll have on with her, and that guest expert will add their comments accordingly, A1, A2, A3.
If I had never spoken with you, how would I go about finding out about Twitter Smarter or any other potentially relevant hashtags or chats?
I think you could Google search them, and I used to have, like, top of mind resource for where all these are found, but I don't remember now. So you could probably just search. The ones I know about are Twitter Smarter and Social ROI. So if you're in the social media world, Social ROI, they recently changed times, but I believe it's Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern.
I mean, this is I'm absorbing as we talk because this is all great and new information. Are these Twitter chats typically contained to digital marketing, or do they cover, politics, food, fitness, everything?
Oh, anything, everything. Another one I've been in before is productivity chat, but I don't go to prod chat much because I'm not a productive person and I don't have much to say. But I've also been to like job hunt chat before when I was trying to find myself. So I was in job hunt chat, and there's like biz women and oh goodness, I don't know. There are so many out there. So do you just need to find your niche and see, follow the people in your niche and just kind of look around. But I'm not, I only know the ones like in my industry that I've gone to because I haven't looked for a lawyer chat. Sorry, nothing personal, lawyer. Not, I mean, there might be law chat or something. I don't know. We'll just search for it or something.
So how would I be able to tell the difference between a hashtag that's sort of an indication of a chat versus, I see things like,
It probably says chat.
oh, okay,
A
there you
lot of them.
go.
I mean, Twitter Smarter doesn't, but during Twitter Smart, it's such a big chat. Not all of them are as big as that one. It ends up trending during that hour as well. But like prod chat is prod chat, and job hunt chat is job hunt chat. They're not all like that. But if you look in the search bar for that specific hashtag and click on latest, you can tell if people have been talking about it a lot for the last hour, then obviously there's a chat happening. Now, I have been in chats before that have been dead. Like, one person showed up, the moderator or whatever, bless his heart. He's the only one posting, and then I'm like, "Hey, is anyone chatting?" "No, just me and him." "Okay, this is dumb."
Just to reorganize for a second for the listeners, I think we're covering here some general tips and tools of how to sort of navigate Twitter, but we will be getting into specifics of tips for professionals, people who have actual everyday brick and mortar or professional businesses, as well as specific tips for online entrepreneurs. But I don't want to leave this topic yet because, again, these are really good foundational tips that you're sharing with us. What would be the difference between I've seen, for example, Motivational Monday and Follow or FF, which I believe is Follow Me Friday. Are those considered chats or is that a different use of the hashtag?
That's a different use of the hashtag. Those type of thing. Every Monday, you're going to have Motivation Monday. And then if you're, some people want to follow that hashtag and say, oh, I wonder what people are posting. And I've done this. If you see something like 5 words that describe middle school. So there was like hashtag 5 words of middle school. And like, hey, I'll do mine. Worst time of my life. And I type mine in hashtag 5 words of middle school. And like, hey, I wonder what other people are doing. So click on the hashtag and then click latest, and then you can see what other people are saying. And if you want to engage with them, fine, but it's not like a structured Twitter chat with questions and answers and stuff. And follow Friday, people must follow that as well if they want to follow people. I haven't followed that one before, but I know I've been tagged FF, which is cool. And I think I have tagged people FF a few times, but it's not one I get into, but it's out there.
You're definitely describing how to use Twitter as a very interactive medium. I would say most new users, or maybe this was just my experience, was very voyeuristic, meaning I would start following famous people or things like that, and just kind of watch what's happening. But it seems like you're teaching me the next step of how to get more involved and have more conversations. Yeah.
Yes, that's where Twitter is gonna make you money.
Ooh, and I think this is the part that people really want to hear about.
Right. And we'll talk about the Twitter chats and how the Twitter chat has made me money because being in Twitter Smarter, showing up regularly, getting to know the people in the chat, letting them know who you are, what you do. If you click, sometimes the conversation will go to direct messages or you become friends on Facebook or whatever, depending on the level of relationship. But as I mentioned to you before we got on, I'm also a podcast editor and I got a podcast editing client directly from the connection we made through Twitter Smarter. So, what do you do? Oh, I'm a podcast editor. It's in my profile and such. And she remembered this so that when she had a project come down the pike, a couple months later or something, she came to me because we developed the connection in a Twitter chat.
So it's really almost like an online cocktail party or networking event or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't sound like you're necessarily making money on tweets in and of themselves, but rather it's a social tool to connect you with more and more people who are like-minded, who will like you guys like each other naturally, right?
That's been my experience with it.
So moving on, let's get into some specifics. I'm an attorney. I'm also a licensed real estate broker. I work with a ton of accountants and I know plenty of dentists, doctors, just professionals across the board. How would you recommend professionals get on to Twitter and really maximize? So the professional I described probably don't have that much free time and can't be tweeting, every hour, right? So how would you recommend they maximize their ROI on Twitter?
As far as time goes, if you can have like an hour a week to schedule everything, you're fine because there's oodles of scheduling tools out there. So if you're not able to tweet 5 times a day individually, go to Hootsuite, Social Jukebox, Buffer. There's a ton that you can program these in and then they'll just go. So that definitely helps. Then you don't have to, oh my gosh, I didn't tweet today. I didn't tweet today. We'll just schedule a time or have your VA or your administrative assistant, whoever, just do these things for you and schedule ahead. So that helps with that problem. Twitter changed its algorithm a while back. Shocking. They keep doing this to us, all these social media things. We think we figure out the best way to market and then they change it. Because previously, when you'd go to your feed, everything was like in a timeline, like it's coming out now, 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 now. Well, if you go on Twitter now, it'll say, in case you missed this, and shows you tweets Twitter thinks you want to see. So it kind of mixes it up a little bit. Twitter also said, hey, no more posting the same thing multiple times a day because some influencers would have the same tweet go out 5 times a day, which was important because it was just the stream. And if someone was going to see it, they had to be on when it hit their feed instead of the what we think you wanted to see. And then the bots came in and the spam came in and everything on Twitter's like no more spam, no more using multiple accounts to post the same thing. Even news media accounts, they'd have like one story go out to 10 accounts. So if I'm following multiple, oh my gosh, my whole feed is the same thing. So you're not allowed to do that anymore. So had to refocus on how to market yourself through Twitter. The secret sauce is 5 times a day and spread it out throughout the day. One guy says he tries to post around the top of the hour or around the bottom of the hour to think when people are getting out of meetings and when they're going to have downtime. Like, oh, my meeting ended early. It's 1:57. I have a few minutes. Let me scroll through Twitter. Or, oh, my person's running late. It's 1:03. I have a few minutes. Let me scroll through Twitter. And being strategic about that. Now, like I said, the system changed, so the timing is a little bit off, but still that's a pretty good strategy of when, especially if you are scheduling them. This is super easy. Just schedule. You don't have to go, oh my gosh, I got to set an alarm to make sure I'm tweeting then. I mean, yeah, that's not necessary.
I mean, so okay, this is really good stuff. You're mentioning 5 times a day is the magic number. If you're not able to do that on a live basis, there are tools out there like Hootsuite, Buffer, and others to schedule in advance. And one strategy that's worked in the past, maybe not as well these days, but it could still work, is top or bottom of the hour because that tends to be when folks have free time and are just scrolling to kill 5 minutes. Yeah. Here's the question I have again from the perspective of a professional, real estate broker, attorney, doctor, dentist. What am I supposed to be tweeting 5 times a day? What do I have to say that people want to hear?
Exactly. So you don't have to be all about yourself. If you only talking about yourself all the time, people would be like, whatever. You want to provide value to your followers. So be that a blog post you've written, a blog post you've discovered, something that you're doing, something fun, make people laugh, motivational quotes. So you can mix it up what you're doing. So definitely some original content, definitely some curated content, but if you can provide value, then more people are more likely to follow you. My daughter follows Denny's on Tumblr and Twitter or whatever because she loves their stuff because it's so funny.
Wait, Denny's, the fast service dining breakfast
Yes.
place?
Yes.
I mean, I love Denny's, Grand Slam moons over my hammy, but
I know, right? But they're but they're funny, and she loves following their stuff, and the value isn't necessarily learning something or whatever, but it's the amusement. Like, "Hey, that's funny." So in a way, that's value, and I don't know if you remember when IHOP did their silly little social media campaign a while back where like, "We're changing our name to IHOB because we're all about burgers." Yeah, it was kind of a goofy thing. It was like, "Really now?" But the Wendy's and the Denny's and the other food restaurant account went crazy, and people are tweeting like, "At Wendy's, are you afraid of the competition now that IHOP is IHOB?" And the Wendy's Twitter is like, "What? They thought pancakes were too hard? No, we're not worried about them." And so you get these fun little interactions happening. So it's entertainment, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Is the value provided with some of these things is a little bit of entertainment. So you can provide value through your motivational pictures and your entertainment, but also through here's my expertise on this topic. Here is something I've written lately, or a how to get into real estate investing 10 steps you need to know thing. People love that type of stuff, right? And if you can incorporate and encourage interaction through your posts and make the personal connection, that's where it's really at on Twitter. It's kind of tricky sometimes unless you really have an attention grabbing headline or a clickbait or something.
so what's an example of how you can try to encourage interaction? I mean, is that where the intentionally or seemingly intentionally inflammatory stuff comes up, or what are we talking about here?
We we don't want to be intentionally inflammatory. Of course, some people do that and they get attention and it works, but do they interact back or are they just calling attention to themselves? So that's the question. But asking questions and looking for answers and giving people something to think about and something shareable. And then if someone likes or shares or whatever, retweets, gotta use my right terminology on Twitter. Someone retweets your blog post, you can always say, "Hey, thanks for retweeting. What was your favorite part?" And hopefully they'll engage with you.
I'm going to stay on this point for just one more turn. I mean, you mentioned entertainment or being thought provoking or engaging, but how many accountants or lawyers do you know who fit those who thrive at being entertaining or
Okay, there's a tool called Social Jukebox, and you don't have to be entertaining. You choose which of their jukeboxes you want to use, and it'll spit out quotes for you periodically if you just subscribe to their service. And if you're like, I don't know what content to do, okay, use them. Pew, they'll just come out with it. Promo Republic is another one. I know I've used it for Instagram that'll just do, "Hey, here's some suggested Instagram posts. Would you like to use these?" Yes. So if you're not creative, if you're not inspirational, entertaining, whatever, just scour the internet and it's out there. Or follow people who are posting that and retweet it. Of course, not as effective as tweeting your own stuff, but retweets can do some good for you as well.
So you mentioned Social Jukebox and Promo Republic as services that will generate suggested content for you to post. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying a strategy similar to that, but sort of kind of on my own. I had a Buzz Sumo account where I would just figure out what were the top trending articles or posts for the past week in certain topics, law, real estate, whatever. And whatever caught my eye in these top lists, I would share and maybe put my spin on it. Hey, for example, I think last week, did you know the Brady Bunch house sold?
I did not.
the actual Brady Bunch house sold. So I wrote about that and shared a picture of the house, and people seem to enjoy that sort of thing.
That's cool. Yeah, that's fun. It's slightly relevant to what you're doing with the real estate, but fun as well.
Sometimes it's hard to get a pulse of what's going to work out there. You know.
Oh, goodness, yes. I worked in radio for a while, and my host would do a question of the day every day, and sometimes the phones would light up, and sometimes crickets. And we could never anticipate what was gonna do. If you were gonna be in a bear attack, would you be rather have this or that to defend yourself? Would be a question. Everybody call in. And then, what's your favorite topping on a pizza? Nobody. Like, what? Or some deep philosophical question. Everybody would call in. And then something stupid. Nobody. We could never predict what it was. And it's the same thing on social media. Sometimes stuff just falls flat. And maybe it's the content itself, or maybe it's just the timing that the people who care didn't see it because Twitter moves fast. Someone recently described it as a stream or a river. And you just kind of you look in and like, oh, look, there's something flowing by. And then it's gone. And unless you're standing there right then, or it says, hey, you might have missed this.
So that's interesting. So I personally only follow like five, maybe less than 10 people. So I pretty much see everything they post. But it sounds like what you're saying is that most people will have a stream that's almost, it would be impossible for a normal human being to look at everything that comes through. So you need to catch their attention at the right time, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. And to catch people's attention, you got to use images and GIFs and video and stuff. And people love GIFs. They love the 3-second little fun little loops, but people go, oh, that's great.
You're giving me a lot of perspective that I never would have been able to get just, on my own. Okay, moving on from professionals. Let's talk about folks who are trying to start an online business. And I know that's really general. So I'm not sure how maybe you have some suggestions on how to narrow that down to maybe someone who's a content marketer or an affiliate marketer. Those can be the same thing often, but what are some ways where Twitter can really feed or drive leads for those types of entrepreneurs?
Well, one of the things I suggest to all my Twitter coaching clients is to have a pinned tweet on your profile. And that's the first thing that someone's going to see. If they say, hey, who's this guy or girl? Should I follow them? And they go to your profile, a pinned tweet is going to be at the top of your feed. Now, this is where you can put your lead magnet or the whatever you have going on right now, the link to your website, whatever, so that when people go, they go, "Oh," and they know about you instantly, and then click through, hopefully, and find out more about what you're doing. So if you're starting a Twitter, just make sure that you have a pinned tweet. That is one of my top pieces of advice.
So how would you decide between what should be a pinned tweet and what should be in your profile, I think what it's called? Because you would want your email subscription list in your profile, I would imagine, the link to your email sign up. And I mean, just please go ahead.
Well, make use of every piece of real estate Twitter gives you. You have the banner, you have your profile picture, you have your little bio, you have a link, you have your name, you have your pinned tweet. Maximize all of these things however possible. So if you want to just put like the website link in your profile, but then your lead magnet in your pinned tweet, you could do that. I would definitely put the lead magnet in the pin tweet just because you can free ebook if you click now because you can use an image there. Whereas all you get is a little bitty link and a few words, maybe, depending on how you format your profile.
Hashtags in profile, yes or no?
Definitely keywords. If you have characters for the hashtag, yeah, go ahead. Now, on Instagram, you can have oodles and oodles of oodles on hashtags in your post. That's how Instagram rolls. Twitter, you want to keep it to 2 or 3, or else you look spammy and desperate for people to see you. But definitely keywords.
Rolling back to a second where you mentioned you just maximizing real estate. Going back to the banner, is there any way to make that linkable? Or if not, how would you maximize that real estate? What can you do with that image?
Let that image tell who you are and what you do at a glance. Some people put like a nice landscape of a sunset or whatever. Okay, that's nice. And if you're a photographer or just a casual user, great, no problem. But if you're a business person, you want people to know you're an accountant, a pretty sunset is not going to tell me you're an accountant. Why do I care what you're going to do for me? So people are just going to see if you're worth following within a couple seconds. Like, do I want to follow this person? Do I not want to follow? Oh, that's a nice sunset, but just like everybody else's. So give them something more that they want to come back for. Use text in your banner. It doesn't just have to be an image. It can be text. It can be a website header or something.
Jennifer, I mean, you've given me personally so much to think about. And I don't know if you noticed, I was writing down furiously as we talked. You mentioned that you do offer coaching services for Twitter. Just tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Well, I help you get started in Twitter and kind of do a audit of your profile. There's a few things in the pin tweet that's for free. I've given you some of my tips today. Just going through is like, okay, here's what we need to do. I have a friend, the one I'm working with right now, and she's about to throw a big event and she has 20 Twitter followers. Okay. It feels like a vanity metric. It's like, "Oh, look, people like me," or not, but really, folks will look to see if you're an influencer or if you matter based on the number of Twitter followers you have. So it's like, okay, so how do we increase your influence and authority through Twitter here? So sit down with her and look at what she has going on. And the first thing was, dear, you just need to start tweeting, number one, because you haven't tweeted for like 3 months. So let's get that going. Here's some of the content and here's a few tweaks and looking at the analytics, what's working, what's not working, and just working one on one on that specific thing. Because Twitter is fun. I love it, but it's scary if like you have no idea what you're doing. Like, oh my gosh. And one of her things is somebody retweeted my stuff. What do I do? Do I have to do something? Like, well, you don't have to do something, but if you want to respond, hey, thanks for the retweet, happy gift, you can do that. But there's so much to it. And I work with upmyinfluence.com and we offer a Twitter superstar service that will help you increase your influence and authority by increasing your followers.
So you mentioned that your friend or client had 20 followers. First of all, that's double mine, or at least double mine. So good for her. But can you give us some ballparks as to ranges where you can start taking somebody seriously, or when they should start seeking out your help? Maybe, I mean, give us some sense of scale, because somebody completely new to this might not have any idea what 20 means, right?
20 is like nothing. Okay. I have a little less than 3,000 at the moment, which I was very proud to get to 1,600. I remember that moment. Oh, because I worked really, really hard to get there. But my company, Up My Influence, has 50,000. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a magic number or not. I just know that if you're less than 1,000, probably not going to be taken seriously. I don't know how far above 1,000 really works for you, but if you're under 1,000, nah, you got some work to do, in my opinion.
What about ratio? I've heard this online where, so yeah, okay, you have 1,000 followers, but you're following 5,000 people. So basically, the ratio is very heavily like you're very active, but nobody's active to you, I guess is what that says.
In order to get followers, you have to be a follower. That's how the Twitter magic works. Is that you got to follow people in order for them to follow you. And if your Twitter ratio is that skewed, it's obvious that all you're doing is following people for the sake of getting followers. And it's like, the big guys who are real respected, you'll see they have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, and they're only following like 500. Oh, because they don't need to be following people for the sake of following. You can always follow people, and then if they don't follow you back, you unfollow them, and that's part of the game of building your Twitter.
This is really great stuff. I think I have everything. This covers everything I wanted to cover. Is there anything else you want to add about your Twitter coaching service or upmyinfluence.com?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Joys of Mercy, JoysofMercy, which is a combination of my kids' middle names. So Joys of Mercy is me on Twitter. That's probably the best way to contact me about Twitter stuff, or through upmyinfluence.com.
And we'll make sure to add those to the show notes. I'm good, Jennifer. Thanks so much for jumping on with me. I mean, this has been great. I hope we have another chance to chat soon and, maybe we'll see each other on Twitter, I guess.
Yeah, see you on Twitter. I'll follow you right now.
Very
Thanks,
cool.
Anthony.
All right, thanks you. And for listeners, don't forget to subscribe and join our email list at anthonyspark.com for all the updates. And talk to you again next time. Take care.